Welcome to the What I Play podcast. I'm your host, Jacob. Lucas could not be here this week because of prior commitments, so I'm going solo once again. Welcome to Super Bowl week, where the New England Patriots face off against the Seattle Seahawks. We already did a prediction video. We broke everything down. I really want to stay true to the players on this one. All year we've been saying the stars of the game, the stars of the game, the stars of the game. What Drake May has done, what Kayshon Boutte has done, what that defense has done for the Patriots. And we talked a little bit about the Seahawks, but not much. So let's start with the Seahawks because they're a little unfamiliar. The Seahawks, when you look at how they started this offseason, you'd say, okay, they're a 7-10 team, they're a 10-7 team, they're in that range. That's where they'll be for some time. And then they traded away Geno Smith, and you're like, okay, maybe they don't win 7 games. Maybe they don't win 10 games. They won't even win 7 games. Then they go and they bring in Sam Darnold. They bring in Clinton Kubiak to be the offensive coordinator. And you're like, okay, maybe, but who knows? That offensive line is shaky. And in a year, even when they traded DK Metcalf, even when they released Tyler Lockett, they've been a very productive offense. JSN leads the league in yards. They trade for Raheem Shaheed mid-season. They're making plays. They've worked this 2 tight end run game action that they got going where the tight ends are very involved in the run. It was Charbonnet who tore his ACL in this postseason, and Kenneth Walker III, who's been absolutely unbelievable, who will be a very high-priced free agent when free agency starts. They've been awesome. And that offensive line has been very formidable. But that defense is what is the driving force. They were very good down the stretch last year. They got better with older players, not necessarily younger guys. I mean, Witherspoon is young. They bring in Emawari, they drafted him, and he was young, obviously. Week Woolen has been around, but very young. Julian Love has been a veteran that they've had for a couple of years now. They moved Kobe Bryant from corner to safety, and that's really helped his development. They've gone with this mindset, and they've kind of lazy Susan this thing with older players, older vets, and younger players. They bring in DeMarcus Lawrence from Dallas. Leonard Williams has been there for years, and he's been absolutely dynamite this year. Nwosu has had his best year. Byron Murphy is coming along. That linebacking core has been pretty good. They've been doing a lot of things. They swarm to the football. And with an offense that can score points, that can strike at any point in the field, and with that defense, it's going to be hard to beat. That's the way the season has gone. It's not been always perfect, but it's been really good. For the Patriots, we've talked about them a lot. What they do, how it's unselfish of them, the way they play. They don't care who is the most successful. They just want to win. That's something you want to have, that you want to instill in your players. That's the best part of them. That's what they're good at. They're so unselfish that they don't pretend that there's a negative. They might not be great. Like, their offensive line is shaky. They've had to go against great defenses in this postseason. The Chargers, the Texans, the Broncos, now the Seattle Seahawks. That's going to be a tough matchup. But they've also, when they need to make a play, they play. When they need a first down to ice the game, then they need a touchdown, and they need a field goal. When they need a good drive so they can burn time off the clock, they pull that off. You have to give credit. It goes to Mike Vrabel and the job he's done, goes to Drake May, the young quarterback, goes to Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator. All those young wide receivers who make plays, they've been doing an excellent job. And the Seahawks, even though they're technically favored in this game, to me it's more of a toss-up. The last time these two, they were very similar to what they are today. I'm not saying the Patriots were not selfish. I'm saying the Patriots were more balanced, a balanced team. Could run the football, could pass the football. They played good defense. They were physical. Very similar to today. They're balanced, very physical on defense, very physical on offense, which they were back then. And then the Seahawks had that great defense. That offense was formidable, and they made great plays. So I have a similar score as the last time these two teams played, but I give it to the Seahawks. They'll win this game 28-24. Now let's talk about the Cowboys' new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker. We haven't talked about him on the What a Play podcast, not because we didn't feel the urge to talk about him, but because they went in the playoffs. We didn't really need to mention it. We already mentioned the Hall of Fame and what they did, which still surprises me that they did not induct or even vote in putting Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft in the Hall of Fame. That still boggles my mind. But I wanted to say this because it has been happening. The Cowboys, first of all, they actually did a coaching search for this defensive coordinator position, which has been rare. They've never really done it in my lifetime. And they haven't ever allowed, in terms of a defensive coach, they haven't allowed the last few times their head coach to make that decision. It's always been the ownership. Where they brought in Christian Parker, a 34-year-old secondary coach and cornerback coach especially, from the Eagles, from the Vic Fangio tree. Learn from Vic Fangio, learn from Vance Joseph, learn from the Panthers defensive coordinator, Alvaro. Like, he's a great mind. He really is. He's very young, and everything I learned about the guy, heard about the guy, has said he's very prepared. He has ability to lead men, and he has an ability to, he's not going to be set in his ways. Meaning, if he has a defensive player who thinks he can do it better, he's going to let that guy try to do it the way that player thinks it can work. And if that can't work, he'll have him revert back to the way that Christian Parker wants it done. And that's a good thing because you don't see that very often. I mean, and put it in perspective, he was the guy who made the decision that saying, hey, now I'm the secondary coach. We need some safeties. We need some corners. They brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson last year. They traded back for him. They bring him back, I should say. They draft Mitchell and DeJean, and those guys led them to a Super Bowl. I mean, it wasn't only those guys, but it helped lead them to a Super Bowl. What surprised me is the amount of great offensive minds he's worked with, not just in the NFL, but in college too. Those are very beneficial for a young coach, especially because, like I said, he's only 34. And the staff he's building, right now, all the coaches are under the age of 45. There's one guy currently who's at the age of 44. That's it. Everyone else is 41 or younger. So they're trying this very young but experienced group of guys. And he learned from the best. He's a disciple of Vic Fangio, which there's no one else better to learn from. There's no one better to learn from than Vic Fangio, what he can do. And if the news and rumors are true that Vic Fangio is thinking about retiring, not only do you get a Vic Fangio disciple who can run that system in Dallas, but one of your divisional opponents is losing their best coordinator that they have, which forces them to have to make a decision on that coordinator in a very late portion of time. which then is also bad for the Eagles because not just did you lose the head guy for the defense, but you lose the guy who they were preparing him to be the next guy when Vic Fangio eventually left. So it's a big move. It is a very big move. If it happens, I don't exactly know. The rumors right now are saying he's thinking about it. And then there was one that said the Eagles talked him out of it. Who knows exactly? But it will be very fascinating to see. And we'll probably only know more after this weekend. But like I'm saying, very experienced, but also very young defensive coaching staff. It's kind of a shock, but everything also, all the coaches that they have hired, everything I've heard about them, they've all pretty much been very respected at what they do or very knowledgeable of what they do. And that's a good thing. And I said in the beginning of this process what I hope the Cowboys would do, not that I would say if you're going to hire the best coach, obviously, but go interview a lot of people for all the positions, all the coaching positions. Because if you do that and you still find that this guy's the best, and I've worked with that guy before, so I'm putting him in, they haven't done that. They haven't really. They've interviewed, 2 people from the Eagles? They've interviewed the linebacker coach who was also the slot cornerback coach. They interviewed him, and it's not like it's going directly in that direction. But I think they also, if I'm not mistaken, they interviewed another secondary coach. So they have gone in that mindset, but they really try to just take the best coaches. And a lot of them are the younger coaches. You're just hoping it pays off, which I'm not used to the Cowboys being proactive. That's kind of a different pace for me. I'm always used to this team waiting to the final second and always getting a bad hire or a bad player or a cheaper player because they didn't want to spend the money. If they show this level of urgency in free agency, in the drafting process, that will make me really happy because they haven't shown that in a very long time. And I don't even think they've ever really shown that in my lifetime of this. It's just, it would be nice to see. I don't know if they do it, but I'm curious to see what happens. Let me know in the comments who you have winning on Super Bowl Sunday, and like the video if you're going to watch the Super Bowl. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert.